and 1:30 final practice for the Monster Energy Cup Series, also on CNBC. Then on NBCSN, it's the countdown to green as well as Xfinity Series racing from the Charlotte Roval. And it is an eventful weekend on NBC. I'm going to admit to you guys, I was up at 3 this morning and watched the first guys teeing off for the Ryder Cup, and it was disappointing. as a Team USA guy, it was tough to watch. But I'm excited for the battles that's going to keep going there. College football later on this afternoon.
Yeah, I'm excited about SNL. Sorry, SNL. I'm a huge Keenan Thompson fan. Didn't get to meet him when he was at Atlanta this year for the race. Looking forward to Sunday night football, sitting around with my wife talking about fantasy football. She's in a couple leagues.
Is she beating you?
Yeah, I was going to say.
She is. My mom's actually playing this year.
And is she beating you?
She's in her own leagues with her own friends.
Oh,
I don't know how she got into that, but
2 top 10 teams tonight. Notre Dame. That'll be fun.
Yeah. It's been a long time since there's been 2 top 10 teams there at Notre Dame fighting it out. Dave.
Rick, you know the best way to get an engine fired is to set up an interview. And that's what we've done here. I know. Perfect timing. But I want to know what you're basing your decision maybe to go out or not again on.
Just going to see where we're at. Position-wise, not really time-wise, position-wise. There's a lot of fall off in these tires, and risk versus reward. There's a lot of wrecks happening today. How hard did we push it? Not knowing really what's going to happen in the race, so we'll wait 10 more minutes, see where we end up, and then go from there.
All right, and thank you, Alex LeVay, next door.
I think that'll be a difficult decision to make, to know that you're going to be 16th, 17th, 18th, and not go back out and run again. Depending on what he thinks his ability to go faster. If he feels like he had a decent lap and he doesn't know how he's going to go any faster, he's right. Don't run again. Don't put another lap on tires. But if he feels like he messed up and there's some more speed to go get, then I think he'll be forced to make another run.
Hear how violent it is when they hit those bumps and the curves.
We talked about Chris Roval. He won last week, so he's on to the next round of the playoffs, and that takes a tremendous amount of pressure off for these guys this weekend, but it's still a great chance to learn. Christopher has a long, future in this sport. This is a chance for him to gain playoff points as well as learn this racetrack, because we're going to come back here next year, I have a feeling, so you may as well learn and do the best you can and leave here hopefully with more playoff points, but also with some more knowledge.
I like that first, when you take turn 1 and head up to turn 2, I say head up because it's an elevation change. You do go uphill, and then you'll go back down again after you go through 6.
Well, check this elevation change out. Who knew there was this big of a hill at Charlotte Motor Speedway?
And
another caution.
And another one into Heartbreak Turn. We mentioned how difficult this
Tannerberry Hill in the 97.
Yeah, how difficult this course has been.
And what a disadvantage to all those guys that were on the racetrack. This is the second time this has happened where people were out there in the middle of the lap. A caution came out. Now, those guys essentially have 2 heat cycles on their tires.
We'll see what kind of damage he's got here, see if he got lucky. Looks like relatively light contact compared to Spencer's car. Don't know that he's going to hopefully need too much. Oh, he does got the left front damage here. So he slaps the driver's side with the tire barrier. And hopefully they don't have, ball joints or any kind of tie rod ends bent, and they can just kind of pull that sheet metal out and get going. Otherwise, it's pretty light cosmetic damage.
Jeff, you mentioned it. About a minute, maybe 30 seconds went off of the clock from the time that it started once again after Spencer's car was taken away from that turn 1 incident. Now another one has happened. How do you get into a rhythm or even a feel when you're trying to go out there to get a good lap put down?
Well, I actually think that from a driver standpoint that, that actually kind of helps you because you've been out on the racetrack. and you've got to feel for your car. But from a tire standpoint, it's a major disadvantage because the tire fall off here appears to be pretty large. So from a rhythm standpoint, probably good, but from a speed standpoint and tires, not a good thing at all.
Yeah, the actually 4 guys I think that were competitive out there at that particular time. Hemrick, Ryan Truex as well, Justin Allgaier, and obviously the 20, Christopher Bell, that we were watching. Those 4 cars were on the track making laps, and we'll see if that affects their performance on the next run.
And the thing that's a little bit unique about this road course is that there will be no local cautions.
Yeah.
You are either caution under the whole track, or they will signify to the drivers a blue flag, meaning that there is something that they need to be aware of up in front of them, but they can still pass and they can still be at speed.
Yeah, that's a NASCAR thing. I mean, that's pretty much the same rule at Sonoma, at Watkins Glen. Pretty much all the NASCAR road races, if it's a yellow, it's a yellow. It's a full course yellow. There's really no local yellows. Just keep digging. It's more of a notification. There may be something happening over here.
Dave? Wanted to update you guys on the 4 of Ross Chastain. Should be on pit road now. Yep, there he is. And Jeff and Junior, so here's his situation. He had to abort that lap. He said his water temp, I believe, was 175. When he came back down pit road, they said, we're not set up to put a cool unit on it. Oh. So they wanted the water temp, and then they said, maybe we'll reduce a little tape on the front end of that. Where does that put Ross then?
I still think he's going to have enough speed to have a shot at making the top 12. I mean, yesterday in lap time, he was 15th overall as far as all lap times that they completed yesterday in the series. He was 15th fastest, but it just depends. If he puts together a good lap, a good clean lap, he's still got a shot at making that top 12, but it was going to be borderline for that team as is, taped off, mocked up perfectly to make that top 12. Cole Custer on the track, warming his tires up.
Up to speed. And they'll be coming around to take the green flag to start their lap. Cole Custer yesterday was 7th quick as far as practice speeds.
You see how hard he hit that curb? Right side looked like it was 3 feet in the air. That's where we've seen the last 2 wrecks right there get into turn 1. So you mentioned, Rick, this little downhill move, and then you go uphill, and now you're heavy braking. And I think that's part of why, not heavy braking, but some braking, that's part of why people are losing it into turn 3, now into turn 4. Watching you use all this racetrack out by the grass, approaching turn 5. Major elevation change, and look at the sight lines. You cannot see the racetrack. The elevation change is so great.
And falls away. You hear the RPMs go up as he went down the hill. And a lot of drivers are talking about right there, turn 8, when they get back out onto the oval, how important that is, that part of the track.
That leads on to a long acceleration around turns 9 and 10, and maybe a potential opportunity to get beside somebody and force a pass or force them to give up the position before the chicane on the back straightaway. Same thing here. If this guy makes a mistake in the chicane, you're going to have an opportunity to gain on him through this particular part of the track as you come up on the final few corners and outbrake him into this particular chicane as well.
And you would think Custer wasn't having a very good lap because he's over half a second off of Austin Cindric, but Cindric is a half a second faster than second. So Custer at 5th. Pretty solid lap, really.
Cindric, Reddick, Briscoe, Priest, Custer, the top 5.
Brendan Gaughan's one of those guys that was on the racetrack earlier. He had some heat cycles on his tires. He's already off over a second.
Right now, second off is 7th.
Yeah, still
7th fastest, so that's just how fast Cindric has been all weekend. He's really been quick.
It's been Daniel Hemrick and Austin Cindric as far as the 2 fastest.
I just think you're looking right here to Austin Cindric. I just think he's the favorite. With all the road course experience that he has. I just believe that coming into a situation like this, he's the guy. He's the guy you're going to have to beat driving for Roger Penske. We know how good the Penske cars on the road courses are, how good he is on the road courses. I think this is the weekend where he can put it together. He's had some opportunities, and he's contributed and made some mistakes. Some other things have just happened that were out of his control, but I think this is the weekend that he's in his environment more than anyone else, and this is the guy. This is the guy you're going to have to beat.
Yeah, I think if he recognizes how superior he's been this weekend, he recognizes that and remains calm, keeps his composure throughout the race, he definitely can win this race. And I worry about, seeing how he's had troubles throughout the season. I'm worried about him being able to maintain that focus and composure as the race gets into that final stage. We see that final stage come, man. It gets crazy for everybody. And maintaining that composure and understanding, hey, man, I'm quick. We got everybody covered here in speed.
And he's young, so things are still happening quickly. And the more experience he gets, things will slow down a little bit. And he would have been in situations that he hasn't been in yet. And things get easier with that experience.
It really needs, it comes from your crew chief, people around you. I would never know that myself to hey, man, I got him covered. I'd never think that and assume that. Hope people around him are telling him, hey, man, relax here. You got it.
Successfully through turn 1. And riding along with Christopher Bell. This road course is 2.28 miles in length, 17 turns that they have to negotiate for a lap.
Here you hit the rev limiter. They're in second gear through this entire portion of the racetrack. You don't never shift to third, and you wonder why he's hitting the rev limiter. Why wouldn't he shift? Because you only hit it for just that moment. So it actually makes a better time just to be in the rev limiter rather than shifting to third.
I always like the rev limiter because it would sometimes keep me from overdriving the next corner. Even at short tracks like Martinsville, I'd want the rev limiter just to keep me from overdriving the corner lap after lap.
I tried that once, and it messed me up because the slower the speed got, the rev limiter would keep coming on later and later and later, and I started driving the car harder waiting for the rev limiter hit. So I had to get rid of that thing.
Find that rev limiter.
Drive with your eyes, man. I couldn't do it with my ears.
Coming into the front stretch chicane. Hit that blue curb as he comes across the line, and Bell will be 7th. Here's Brandon Jones. Mentioned at the beginning of this show, Brandon struggled a bit yesterday to get the feel of this racetrack. So we see Daniel Hemrick. And Hemrick now on the clock. And as far as practicing went, Hemrick was the fastest. His time of 1:18.19 was the fastest, as we see Labe finishing his lap and goes to second quickest.
He was third fastest yesterday overall. So that's real speed in that car, and it'll be fun to see that team try to compete today. A bit underfunded, independent, if you will.
You mentioned the experience that Hemrick is getting this weekend and how good of a job he's done. He's plenty good right now over the projected cut line. Great weekend for him. And now it's going cup racing full time. It's good to see. He's, just a short track racer getting an opportunity. That's a great thing to see.
He'll be driving for RCR next year, and
trending.
I think the possibility exists it'll be the 8th car that they are looking to bring back into the Cup Series.
This is a car that was out there on the racetrack when the caution came out. He's got a half a lap of hard corners on his tires, and
that was comparing him to Cindric, and that puts him 3rd behind Labe.
I think he had a little more speed now because he ran a 19 yesterday, and that's a 42. So I would say that made me think that half a lap that he put on his tires before the caution come out is going to hurt those tires.
Regular season champion Justin Allgaier in the 7. He will still have to work to make his way through the rounds in the playoffs to get to the championship race at Homestead, Miami.
This guy's been the man to beat on road courses this year. Done a really good job.
Won the last 2.
There's another driver's been quick all weekend. He surprised me with the speed. Brian Truex is going to put him 8th right there. They've been on near the top of the charts all weekend. As soon as they've unloaded, hit the track with speed. And
so it's been 10 minutes since we talked with Elliott Sadler, and he said that they were going to wait about 10 minutes, find out where it shook out as far as where they would end up in this qualifying session. Right now, Sadler has dropped down to 17th.
He's still on pit road.
They'll have to be making some decisions as to, do they go out another time and put another cycle more or less on these tires.
And what he needs, he's got 8 minutes left. He needs to leave pit road at
about 1:16. Yeah, he's got to leave pit road with about 1:16, 1:17 left on the clock to get back to the start-finish line. And he doesn't look like he's in any big hurry to climb back into that car. This is Ty Majeski in the 60, about to come to the green. Christopher Bell's lap put him 11th, but again, this is a race where he's obviously going to try to go out and win the race if he can, but he has secured himself into the second round because of his win last weekend.
He's also one of those guys. He's a short track guy. This guy's been racing late models all over the country, done a very good job, won a lot of races, and you just don't think of him as being a good road racer. But right now, he's plenty good to that cut line. He's lost some right there, gave up a little bit of speed, but he's done a nice job all weekend as well, been up the speed charts.
There's a little bit of a cushion there, 0.7 of a second, now 0.8 of a second as he goes out onto the oval. And then how will he negotiate the backstretch chicane?
He gets through there pretty good. He's got a shot at the pole.
Switched over to Cindric, who he's being compared to, and lost some time there.
That's okay, though. He's still in great shape. He can have this front straightaway chicane if he can get through here smoothly. See how rough it is, the car bouncing up and down. Gave up a little speed on corner entry, coming back on corner exit. That's a good lap, 4th.
Yeah.
I think if you told Ty Majeski before he came over here, hey, man, you're going to qualify top 5 first round, I have a feeling they'd be happy with that. Good job.
Ty Majeski, you see the yellow stripe on the back. Actually, every driver here is considered a rookie because no one has been on this track before.
He got them blue curbs pretty good right there. He's lucky that didn't do too bad of damage, but we've seen it all weekend. These Xfinity cars have a little bit different rule in the front end as far as stops and springs and so forth, that they're not quite as low as the Cup cars going through that particular part of the racetrack, so they don't suffer as much damage hitting those blue curbs. I think if you ask Majeski how he runs so fast, he might tell you he spent a lot of time in the simulator, particularly the iRacing simulator, over the week to prepare for this course.
Big topic of discussion has been the driver behind the wheel of the 42 this season for Chip Ganassi Racing. This time it's Justin Marks who will pilot the 42 this weekend.
Right behind him is the guy that's been driving it, Ross Chastain. Had a pretty awesome month actually in that car with a win and some great finishes.
It's trying to stay with the 42 as they go out onto the oval. A little shorter route there for Ross Chastain.
Yeah, I think that's interesting how really you can choose any line you want through those corners, and one chose the middle, one chose the bottom.
Trying to straighten out that chicane as much as they can.
Ross's lap time compared to 12th. 2/10 he's got to gain in this final chicane to have a shot at making the next round. Justin Marks is in good shape.
Ross Chastain was one of the cars that were hurt by the accidents that took place because he was on the track when the caution came out, so he had to come back to pit road. So he had cycles on his tires but didn't get any benefit from it.
Yeah, and they also talked about having to remove some tape from the grill because they didn't have the car set up to plug in the cool down machine, so he took a little downforce away. So I would assume that taking away that downforce would hurt you here a lot because of how long we have we use the oval, the banking, and that's going to be taking time away without that grill taped up. See Elliott Sadler in his car and pulling onto the racetrack to make another run here with 4 minutes left.
Yeah, I think down there at 19th, they really didn't have a choice. They had to go back out and try to improve their time. You see another guy down there, one of our playoff contenders, Brandon Jones, down in 22nd. Interesting to see if he rolls or not. He's had a tough weekend. They may decide not to roll, just start back there and have the strategy of surviving. You know, having a good solid day and not dig a hole that you can't get out of trying to make their next round of the playoffs.
If Sadler jumps up and is faster than 12th, which right now is Justin Allgaier, he'll more or less knock his teammate out of the top 12 and not be able to advance into that second round. And Allgaier has been fabulous on the road courses this season, has won the last 2 road course races, has the best average for the year at the road course races. There have been 3 that have been run, and his average finish has been, I believe, right around 1.8 as far as an average finish over 3 road courses.
Also, look on the right-hand side of the screen. You see Kaz Gralla. Right now, he's trending ahead of Allgaier. If he can keep that up, he would move Allgaier out.
Tiff just going on the clock now. 3 minutes remaining in this first round. You mentioned Kaz Gralla. There he is out on the track now on the oval in this lap. And Gralla right at what it's going to take to take 12th away.
Doing a pretty good job. I mean, this isn't a full-time effort. These guys, for them to show up and even be competitive when you can't run every single week is a real challenge to do.
It's a big left front brake lock up. Keep in mind that one thing that may have contributed to Elliott Sadler's mindset of why he went back out is this session determines how you pick pits next week at Dover. Next week at Dover is their cutoff race for the playoffs. So that could have been a contributing factor as well, trying to move up just a little bit because pit road at Dover is tight. It's a narrow pit road.
As we're watching Elliott Sadler on the right side of your screen in the red, a good distance from what Allgaier has run, so might not be the best decision for the one to go back out there. We'll see if they're able to even better what their last lap was, which was 1:19.95, to get a little bit better starting position. He moves up 2 spots.
Yeah, not worth it. 1 row. I mean, you don't know that when you're getting ready to go out on the racetrack, but the damage that it does to the tires, I think they would have traded that for.
Sorry, guys, that's all I got.
Starting where they were originally.
That was Elliott Sadler we heard.
It's interesting to see Justin out on the track knowing that there's that much fall off in the tires.
Maybe that much uncertainty that he was going to be able to stay in the top 12, decided he had to go out and just protect it.
I don't know, your chances of being able to, if he must feel like his car is very good and that if he can make the next round, he feels like, hey, I can qualify, way better than 12th if I get that opportunity. Otherwise, if he feels like that was a great lap and it's 12th best, I don't know that you go out and run again.
Yeah, and if I'm the crew chief and I have access to this information, maybe I'm saying, hey, maybe we need to shut this thing off and not run the whole lap, try to save a little bit of tire.
Now the problem is Christopher Bell.
That's the thing. It's tough when the Christopher Bell goes out.
That's right. He just got in turn 1, so yep. You don't know what his lap's going to be.
With the talent he has, the car he has, he can put down a lap. And looks like he's doing
Allgaier just great through the chicane, and so now he's trying to gain on it's his own time. He wants to improve his time so that he's not that 12th driver and doesn't get bumped out if somebody goes faster.
Wow.
It's going to be close if he improves his time at all from 19.069, and he went 19.118 on that lap, so not as fast.
Brian Truex, who was 10th. He ran another run as well. And ran a little slow, right? Confusing.
And now Bell in the green.
Gave up some through that rear chicane. He had good speed.
Looks better. See how he hits this last chicane here.
It's a spotter talking to the crew chief. Carried good speed in. Can he keep it up on the exit?
Yeah, looks better all the way around.
Just doesn't make it, though, as far as...
Literally ran about the same lap. Very good. I mean, that's, you know...
It was 3/100ths of a second that separated Allgaier and Bell's laps. And Bell doesn't advance into round 2, but Allgaier will. But again, Allgaier had to go out and run another time. Cindric was fastest in round 1. Weekend to get the NBC Sports app than this weekend, because there are so many great events that are taking place on NBC and NBCSN. You get closer with alternate camera angles from NASCAR on NBC with the NBC Sports app. Take a look at the field 13 through 40, the starting positions. These are locked in now, and you see the names in yellow are those in the playoffs that are outside of that top 12 that will have another shot at the pole and those 12 starting positions. Captain Legg making another start. She'll be in the 21st position, and Tanner Berryhill is the one who will not race later on this afternoon. Bert, rumor has it that you are so excited to get back out on the racetrack that you can't even wait for the end of this show.
I drove the NBC Toyota yesterday.
Yeah.
And I survived and didn't hit anything, so I figured I'd go try it again, see if I can make it happen again. After watching all these people
Don't hit
something,
don't hit the tire wall, okay?
Why not me go try it too?
Don't hit the tire wall, please. Let's go down to Dave.
Ross Chastain has stayed off the tire wall, but he's one of the 4 drivers in the playoffs that did not make it to round 2. Starting 16th, what does that look like for you?
It looks like I'll be starting 40th. Just on our opinion of how this race is going to go, we'll just drop to the back. We wanted pit selection for Dover. Was really the only reason we went out and even did that. And there's just too much risk up there, and that's right in the middle of it. So happy that we got some sponsors on the car. So Outdoor Republic Apparel Company stepped up big. They're just a little company from back home in Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda, where I'm from. And then the Florida Watermelon Association came on. So happy for that, because we were a chase car with all this publicity with nothing on the car. It's crazy. But yeah, we'll start at the back and just ride around. And no stage points for us. We're not trying to. We got here on our own deal, and we're going to keep going on our own deal. So people think we're crazy, but we didn't get here because we're dumb.
What do you guys think of that strategy? Play 18 points to the good coming in and dropping to the back at the start of this race.
Thinking about pit strategy. By the way, an 8th generation watermelon farmer.
Yeah, that makes me nervous. I mean,
the watermelon farmer part, or
no.
dropping to the back?
It's crazy strategy.
Oh.
But more reason to watch.
That is exactly what you need to do. Pay attention. Round 2 is coming up next. Sharks and Anaheim Ducks will go at it. NHL opening night Wednesday. That's 7:30 p.m. Eastern on NBCSN. And everyone coming out on their warm-up lap. Just 9.5 minutes remaining. It's a 10-minute round, and it's going to take them a while to get back around to the start line. But 12 drivers will all be fighting for position for those top 12 spots, as well as who will start on pole. Will it be Cindric? Will it be Hemrick? Or LeVay jumps up there as well and surprises, I think, everyone with the great speed that he had in that first round.
Yeah, another thing we're going to see is how these tires cycle, what kind of speed they have after this cycle on them. And
so this part, the warming up part, how aggressive do you get going through the turns to warm your tires up?
I think it's, just important to get a little heat in the brakes. You're going to have plenty of opportunity to do that. You don't want to run offline if you can help it, so you don't get anything on your tires. You want to have them clean and hot and ready to go. You don't want to run too hard, though. I mean, a place like Sonoma, you really don't put a lot of pressure on the tires at all, because the tire fall off and drive is so important. You don't want to give any of that up on the warm-up.
Running on the bumper of Cole Custer here, the 00. He goes up into turn 2.
But I think for me as a driver, I'm still trying to figure out how much grip I have at this racetrack. Even after all the laps they've had this weekend, they're still not quite 100% trusting in the car and the grip they have. So it's just another extra lap to learn that and understand that, test the limits of the car. Because I know these guys haven't found the limits at every single corner. Most of them, anyways.
Yeah, a few of them had found the limits in turn 1.
Yeah.
We saw 2 cars destroyed earlier. Cole Custer now out onto the oval. And he goes through turn 10, gets ready to go down the backstretch, and he'll be looking as they'll get near 160 miles an hour as they enter this chicane. Goes through there as straight as possible, then back into turns, what is on the oval 3 and 4. It's 13 and 14 for this road course. And now the final kink that he has to go through on the front stretch. And the number is 1870. And now we'll see what Cindric can do. Already 0.8 of a second faster than what Justin Marks, who just went a little bit quicker with his lap, 1862. So Marks, Cole Custer, and Ryan Preece all with their laps, very good laps. Now it's Austin Cindric who has a 1778 is the fastest lap.
That's fast.
LeBay and his lap 3rd quickest. Now Tyler Reddick coming out of 17, and Reddick will be 2nd quickest on that lap at an 1840. Cindric is 0.7 of a second, well, 0.6 of a second faster than 2nd place Reddick right now.
Like I was talking in the first round, is, you know, if his crew chief and his team around him need to emphasize just how much quicker he is than the rest of the field. Say, look, this is a place where there's not a lot of runoff, not a lot of margin for error. So dial it back just a little bit, just to be on the safe side to get through the entire race, because we have the speed to beat these guys.
Ryan Preece's 2nd lap was still right there at 7th. Cindric went faster than he did in round 1 by 0.3 of a second. So Hemrick is coming up to speed. We would expect that Hemrick would be the closest to Cindric. We'll see if he is able to match that lap. But, Junior, as you mentioned, that was a phenomenal lap.
Yeah, we haven't seen anything like that all weekend. You know, Cindric run a 1778, and the fastest Hemrick went yesterday was 78.19, so, or an 18.19. And so, you know, track's a little bit better, maybe a little more rubber down as we go through the weekend. I think that'll improve the speed in the track. But he also had to run a half a lap hard before that caution came out in round 1 that took a little bit of life off the tire. See the sun's coming out here, putting a little heat in the track. I don't think that would hurt the track or hurt the grip too much.
This will be Hemrick coming to the green flag for his lap. And remember, 17 turns. You've got to put together 17 perfect turns if you want to win the pole for the first Charlotte Roval race.
See, he's already a couple tenths already. Well, he gained it back there. He's only a 10th off early in the lap. Hear the tires squealing. Sounds like a production tire going through the corner. Right out to that grass, pushing the envelope. Into turn 5 and 6. Uphill to 6, and then downhill to the left-hander, turn 7. Into turn 8, which leads you on to the oval. Turns 9 and 10.
He's 0.3 of a second off what we've seen out of Cindric.
And Cindric, you know, you think, okay, well, can he beat Cindric through the chicane? He's going to have a perfect chicane, because Cindric got through there better than anyone. does a pretty good job of it. And he's going to gain time as he comes around.
Look at this. Hemrick closing in now.
Into the braking zone here. Got to be smart. He's pushing it hard.
How big will it be? Oh, he loses a little bit through that chicane.
I'm telling you, man.
Man, that's a good lap, though.
He did. That was an incredibly good job. Hemrick's had the upper hand, the advantage of being able to drive the Cup car all weekend and learning laps and learning the track and learning the limits of the corners and the grip. But he did an amazing job right there, putting together a solid lap. He's had an awesome weekend. Going into the Cup car next year at RCR. Announced that yesterday.
There's Allgaier. Well, this just shows you how great of a lap Cindric ran. Allgaier, who's won the last 2 road course races, is a second off.
We know Justin ran an additional time during the first round, and you got to wonder how much that hurt the tires, and it had to have knocked some life out of the tires, some speed out of the car.
Here's Matt Tifft. And off the track, Ty Majeski.
Made a little contact, not too bad. Let's see what he did here. Entering turn 5 uphill. Just got in there too hot on this cool down lap.
You wouldn't expect that.
I mean, he may have been trying to run another lap. You can see a little contact there. That should be okay. Some guys did run 2 laps, so he may have been trying to run a second lap and improve his time because he's 8th, and maybe he just, knows he may have made a big mistake somewhere and thinks that he can improve it. I think they're going to find out that they don't have to do too much work on that car to get it ready for the race.
Here's Ryan Truex.
He's another car just like Justin Allgaier that ran an additional run in the first round for no reason. He was 10th in the first round.
And about the same lap as what we saw out of Allgaier. This is LeBay going back out.
He's back on track, Rick. They came down pit road. They cooled down the 36 car. And the main reason they're going back out is they've only taken this 1 lap during the session on the tires. And Alex felt like he could get more out of the race car. Biggest area was exiting onto the oval, turn 8. If he's accomplished that well, we'll see where the time, if he accomplishes that well, we'll see what the time might do for him.
Just a little bit.
And LeBay right now is 5th.
You have the whole track yourself. You're good to go. Even if they turn the lights on, you're legal. All good.
He's going to make it in time. As long as he starts his lap prior to that clock, which you see on the top of the screen, running down to 0, which right there, he crosses the start line. So his lap is going to be official. And as a driver, it's such a long course. I mean, this is 2.28 miles. As a driver, when you miss a turn and then you have to think about that like, oh my gosh, I missed that turn, and then you put the rest of the lap together perfect and you have a good lap, you must think, okay, I can do better. I know I got better in it.
Yeah, I mean, but the potential on a 17-turn course to go out there and run a flawless lap, I mean, it's hard to do. It's hard to, even if you screw up one turn, you go try to run a lap and improve, you may make that, you may run through that turn well and screw up another turn. There's always something on every lap you run that you could have done better. Never going to be satisfied as a driver with, oh, that was a perfect lap. Nobody, I don't think, ever feels that way. There's always something that could have been done differently.
If he is under a second off of what Cindric is, he would do better than his previous lap. But right now we're seeing that he's over that 1 second mark.
It's going to be a little slower unless he can really have a good turn 16 and 17.
LeBay's best career start was at Mid-Ohio, 13th. He'll improve upon that, but no one came close to Austin Cindric with his lap at 17:78. He will start on the pole this afternoon. And you see the kids right there, 12 and under. You get in free for the Xfinity Series, Camping World Truck Series races, reduced ticket prices for the Cup Series races. What a great family atmosphere. If you've got a Ferris wheel at the racetrack, how is it not the best place to bring the family? And it is incredibly enjoying to watch the kids' faces as they're able to see some of the amazing things that these drivers are able to do at the track. And speaking of amazing things, Cindric won the pole. Let's go to Dave.
I was going to say, speaking of kids, how about this kid, Rick? He's been fast in almost every session, fastest, that is. And then you had to put it together when it counted, Austin. How did you do it?
It's the playoffs, man. You got to put it together when it counts. I wish you got points for qualifying, but we got 55 laps to do that today. And I'm just so proud of these guys on Moneyline Racing and Team Penske to be able to unload with a car so close that we barely had to tune on it all weekend, and we've really been where we've needed to be right off the truck. So I'm just really grateful for that opportunity. How about Alex LeBay, my hero? That guy put it P2 in round 1. I need to give him a handshake, a high five, or whatever. No, I'm excited for today's race. I think everyone has no idea what the race is going to be like. So obviously starting out front is the best place to be. So I'm excited to see how it all shakes out, and hopefully we can get ourselves above that cut line and have a good day.
Austin Cindric, pole sitter today at the Roval.
And just 20 years old, as you mentioned, just a kid. NASCAR America is coming up next, but it will be Cindric and Hemrick will be the front row as they get ready for the race. Take a look at this. They're ready to have fun. Krista, Kyle, and DJ next.